Again, because I like this kind of vintage look, it was always going to be a Hazelite version. But I found it interesting that, at the very least in Hong Kong, the sapphire one seems to be a bit hotter than the Hazelite version. It was a bit of an eye-opener because I would have thought the opposite was true.
That's my son laughing in the back, if you're wondering.
Yes.
All right.
We've abducted the Uptick.
Now Friday, if you had nothing better to do than watching my stupid videos, you might have seen that Uptick did a very bad thing. And I was walking in Causeway Bay here, shopping area of Hong Kong, Friday night after work, and I was so taken aback seeing this Tudor GMT Pepsi in the window that I had to go in, and I tried it on, and I had tried it on before, as I said, and it felt kind of big, but still I thought, let's take it for a ride and see what's what. You know, I was always remembering in that beautiful video from Hodinky, what a great video it is, and so I wanted to experience it for myself and see how it was. So yes, the first impression is that it's a big slab, heavy slab of metal. But now we're Sunday, so I've slept with it twice, so it's not a one-night stand.
Oh, that's nice. I see what you've done there.
Yeah. So I kept it on the wrist at night. Let's say I went hiking today with the kids on the peak in Hong Kong. I put some nice videos, pictures of it here, and I gotta say, I'm starting to get it. As I was eating at Burger King with the kids, they were watching my phone, so I had nothing else to watch than watching my watch.
And did the watch make you think of your Burger King, because it's a big hamburger?
It is a hockey puck, a Burger King. It was thicker than my Whopper, and but you know what? The charm is operating, and I don't want to force myself to love it. You know, sometimes you buy something and you want it to be the next best thing, you know, since sliced bread. But really, the best thing you really wanted was this one. But I start to realize that this is not a Tudor version of this, unlike the Black Bay 58, which is the modern version of the 50s watch. This is actually a 200-meter diver with a GMT.
Yeah, no, completely.
And then it's actually feeling great on the wrist. I went hiking, it's hot outside. Didn't really bother me. Yes, the weight is there. You have a 22 millimeter bracelet, so it's a big counterweight to it. But it looks so good. The colors are so cool. And at first, I didn't even like the smaller plots. I prefer larger indices. And after 2 days already, I've accepted the size, the look for what it is for a Tudor diver with a complication. And honestly, today I was just smiling every time I was looking at it. I was really enjoying it. Yeah, today's test told me that I could totally travel with it, just with this, go to the beach when we will be able to go back to Thailand and all that. Yeah, enjoying the colors, the legibility. Lume is good at night. I love the crown. Big size crown.
But what's interesting, look, it's the same kind of
but you're not buying this. You're not buying a modern version of this,
right? So this is like the crown guard less version of the first GMT Masters, and also with a chapter ring and everything, except for the fact that your watch, it's just an amalgamation of so many different things, right? Because it does have the snowflake hands that you'd expect on a Tudor Submariner. You've got the GMT and chapter ring that you'd expect on a GMT Master, likewise the bezel. But then you have the case heft and thickness that you'd expect, quite frankly, on the Seedweller. It's kind of surprising that it doesn't have a helium escape wave on the side, because this is just...
And people are calling for a Black Bay 58 GMT. That would be amazing, of course. But
I think a lot of the market is actually asking for that to be in a thinner, smaller watch, which is the reason why the
especially in Hong Kong,
the BB58 is so popular. Now, what is really interesting when that came out, and that was the same year as the Pepsi, the new Pepsi.
And the 58.
GMTs, and the 58. But when it came out, I remember vividly, no one was talking about the BB58. Everybody was talking about this and the Rolex GMT. I was looking at this and like, yeah, the Rolex GMT, I understand. But of the two watch between this and the BB58, for me, clearly the BB58.
Me too.
It's like, yeah, that's.
I was enthralled by that watch when I saw it. I thought that's the one I want. Why is not Hodinkee talking about it and all that as much as this? Which is interesting now that we should consider what is the marketing doing to us watch geeks. Everybody talks about this like the star. Sometimes even beyond the GMT Master 2, the Pepsi of Rolex, the star of Baselworld. People have modest wrist sizes, and it's a big watch. It's not for everybody. I think some people, like me, with a 17cm wrist, very flat, can wear it no problem and just embrace the heft of it. But it's surprising what the marketing machine of all those watch publications and channels is going to do to you.
Yeah, well, look, it wouldn't do it for me, because even when the specs came out, and like at 41 millimeters, and I don't know how thick that is, at least 14.5 millimeters, if not 15.
It's barely 14 actually. I think
feels a lot more.
The mid case makes you feel like it's 16.
Yeah, it's
the look of it, and then you really need to wear it for 2-3 days to realize it's fine, but at first it feels big.
For me, it's still too heavy. I got the same feeling, if not worse, than the seat dweller I used to own. So the 666, the transitional seat dweller from the early 80s. So 16660.
Yeah. Okay. Because I got a chance to buy the Deep Sea, and when there was nothing available at the shop, and they had one Deep Sea, but I just couldn't do it. It's beautiful, but it's too.
Unless you have an 8-inch wrist, I don't know how you can get away with something like a Deep Sea. Now, if you have a smaller wrist and you want to wear that, power to you. Everybody's free to do what they want.
Some women wear it, and funnily, actually, the big watches look better on the women in Hong Kong because it's a look, the thing that goes beyond your wrist.
Now that, on the other hand, is the complete opposite, because that's something that
the ultimate classic. It is what that watch is not at all.
Yes.
And actually, before I saw this in the window, I was checking out some of these, and I don't really know that well which reference is the one to get, but I was starting to work to the idea of buying one. Although what I really want is a GMT that I can really use, like go in the water with, just have one watch to go on holiday, and I don't think that's going to be it unless it's been incredibly well preserved.
I wouldn't use this one, because this is the 16750, so it still has an acrylic crystal. What's interesting in this reference is that it was already waterproofed to 100 meters, whereas it's got the same case as the 1675, which was only rated at 50 meters. So it just means that they just changed. Maybe they changed the gaskets, but I think that they just decided to test them to a higher spec and decided that they were comfortable that it was going to go to 100 meters. Having said that, if I wanted to have a GMT Master that I could actually do stuff with, like go in the water, whatnot, I wouldn't even go for GMT Master 2, the reference 16710. I would go for the one before. 16700, so the which is the successor to this watch basically. So it already has a quick set movement. You cannot dissociate the GMT from the hour hand.
Right.
So the only way that you set the GMT is like the old one. It's by turning the bezel.
Okay.
But it's 100 meters. Fun. It's 100 meters water resistant, and it's got a sapphire crystal. This. If you had one that was properly serviced, you wouldn't have any problem doing anything at all, because it's going to be sturdy enough, because of the sapphire crystal. You make sure you got new gaskets and you get it pressure tested, and you'll be completely good to go with that. And
that reference comes in Jubilee and Oyster, or just Jubilee?
It was just on an Oyster. This particular reference. This one that you've got here was on both Jubilee.
So this one, tell us what it is.
16750. So which is the first quick set GMT Master that was introduced around 81 until 85, if I'm not mistaken, and then after that they went to the 16700, so with a sapphire crystal.
The patina is unreal on this.
Yeah, the patina makes the watch on this particular one, which is the reason why I bought it at the time.
What was more than 10 years ago?
When did I get this? Around 2008, 2009.
Yeah, we talked about it before. We did a video about this watch.
Yeah, so it's so this I definitely wouldn't take too much chance. But again, the other thing that you want to check on if you buy a 16700, make sure you open it and you make sure that the inner case is not pitted, because it's the kind of thing that happens over a period of time, and then waterproofness is going to be compromised. You know, where the case attached to the case back, the filing, make sure that it's not pitted, and replace all of the gaskets, get the movement service, get it pressure tested, and then you're good to go for decades with this thing.
This here is in tip-top shape.
Yeah, no, the case is amazing. There's nothing
ridiculous.
It came on an oyster bracelet. I have the oyster bracelet, but then I did. I bought this Jubilee just because I had too many oyster bracelets, Rolexes, and that was just different.
Well,
but to your point, this is a true. It was supposed to be a traveler's watch. This is really a dive watch which has a GMT function, and people need to buy it.
You need to understand it.
Yes, exactly.
Understand that you're buying the Black Bay.
You're buying a Black Bay first and foremost.
You can still dive with it. You can still turn your bezel there. Remember what?
200 meters water resistance, and yes, you can turn it in both ways. But again, until 1981 or 82, the bezels on the Submariner date would turn both ways.
It's sturdy enough that it's really hard to knock it. It's even like this, it doesn't move.
If you did this for a living, you probably wouldn't want that. But if it's for the occasional paddy dive, you could totally do this anyways.
Now, my trick question to you: if you could get the new Pepsi Rolex at the shop, would you get it?
Probably I would. Yes, I like it.
Would you get the root beer? On the same day, the root beer and the Pepsi are there, and the bad girl. Which one do you pick?
Oh, the Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Yeah,
me too. I think it's the.
No, the thing is, I hated the first version of the Pepsi, which had the chewing gum type colors on it. You know, where it was really pink.
It changed, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think they're now down to the third iteration of the colors of that, and it's markedly darker.
They were very pink.
And the first time I saw it.
But you know, it would be worth more money in the future.
No, of course it is. Already, I think.
It's already segmented.
And I saw it under artificial light at one of the grey dealers in Hong Kong, because that's the only place you'll ever see them. And I was like, oh God, that is awful. Like this is really what I thought. Like, not in a million years.
Talking about forcing yourself to love the expensive watch you just bought, you know.
No, but then I saw it a few times worn by people. The next version with where the blue is more navy and the red is almost burgundy, and I thought, this is gorgeous. I loved it. I don't care much for the Batgirl in the same way that I didn't care for the Batman. And the root beer, it's interesting.
I love it.
But it's a bit much for me. Now, if I wanted,
I don't really see you with it.
The kids are here, so I can't say it, but it's the ultimate.
It's okay. I always say fucking shit with one of the kids.
So yeah, it's a bit of a fucky watch.
I mean, talking about, I want a GMT to travel with, right? Even if I had the Pepsi, I don't care. I would carry the luggage, the kids with it. Don't care if it gets scratched, if I could get it. The root beer, I mean, that's going to scratch really fast. But it looks, if you have a bit of a tan on the skin,
you're going to get mugged for it. It's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you can't travel to Europe or anywhere for that matter. You can't travel to Thailand, US, UK.
If you're in Hong Kong or Singapore, you're going to be fine. If you're in Japan, you're going to be fine.
You're going to stay
anywhere else, you're in trouble.
It defeats the purpose of the GMT GMT.
But frankly, it's pretty darn loud.
I think that the Pepsi is loud as well. It's one of the most recognizable Rolex after the Daytona. Then it leaves you with the Batgirl or the Batman.
But which is the reason why, again, I used to travel a lot, and I've always had to juggle between time zones because of my career. And it's one of the reasons why I love my Explorer 2 so much.
Yeah.
You wear it and nobody cares.
I just tried the black one. Along with the root beer. I put the two pictures on the screens at a great dealer, of course, not an AD. And yeah, it's too bad it's a bit too big, the black one, because I really like the Explorer 2, the modern version. In a way, it's a perfect watch because you get the GMT, the date, the water resistance, the clasp. It's just a bit too big, but being black, it makes it a bit smaller, and also the goofy, huge hands don't look so big on the black. They disappear. Right. I mean, okay, obviously I'm wearing this now, so yeah, maybe I should get an Explorer 2
but it's
black.
Interesting because the newer version, started six digits starting with a 2. I think that the black version is better than the white. If you're looking at the previous version, the 5-digit version,
the white was better than black.
Is better than the black.
Yeah.
But having said that, I've toyed with the idea of getting the
black is nice too,
because it's even stealthier than the white one.
Yeah.
Like every time I see one, I have to see twice to recognize it, and that's me.
Yeah.
Who've been around those watches.
It's a great watch. It does everything.
The only thing that I'd get on this for sure, if you wanted something that was usable, is you'd get the bracelet with a flip lock, so that it doesn't open if you're really doing sports and folding and all that. Because I think I told you, on my white one, I used to play tennis with it, and one day I tripped and I fell, and I fell on
and open.
And it did open. It's the only time it ever did it to me, but it can happen because what's happening is that the crown digs into your hand, and with the force of it, it just popped the clasp open. So it's not the most secure thing. So if you had a flip lock, the watch would be secure, but on the flip side, you might just break one of your bone in the hand. So for me, my 16570 was always a watch I was wearing and not having to think twice about it because again I've had 3 different Explorer 2s, and for me it's still in my head. It's still a $3,500 watch because I've never paid more than that for any of them. But the problem is right now, I just went on Chrome 24 the other day to look what they go for. They go for crazy prices. They go for like $8,000-9,000. At which stage I'm like, yeah, do I actually want to travel with that, or would I just take my Zenith, which is less than $3,000, or even would I travel with this instead? The Speedmaster. As a matter of fact, I think that there's a very good case that if and when travel reopens, touching wood, vaccine, all that. I might be traveling a bit with this one as well. I think I still use the Explorer 2, but it really seriously bothers me that the price went up like that. Even if I could flip it right now, because I'm not going to flip it.
You know what? That's a bit why I sold mine. I don't know if you had realized on the people watching this.
It's heresy.
But when I wasn't enjoying it as much as it was when it was my only Rolex.
Yeah.
And when I traveled last time back to Belgium, I had this one. I had, I think, my Aquaterra to have a bit of a choice. And still I went and bought an Air King because I wanted something more modern.
Yeah.
And I realized I can enjoy the more modern ones. I've had my journey with it. I've enjoyed it. It was a perfect first Rolex to start with. And now the prices went up so much. Okay, I have in my head to get another GMT. Well, I did now. You're gonna say it's a big step down from Explorer, so it's not for everybody. But if you have a list of, mine is 17. I guess 16 is okay, but I would say 17 and up. You love it because it's a. Let's not forget, it's still a beautiful watch, beautifully made.
If you want to end up with the same arm as Popeye, that's exactly the watch you want because
it's
so
part of my trip now. I'm trying to bulk up.
Yeah, well, that's
the kids are loving it. All right, a bit of a long video. Let's move on. We're gonna talk about the shocker of January 2021, the Zenith here, and we don't have a ceramic Daytona to compare it with, but we're going to compare it to that gorgeous Zenith powered Daytona. Bye bye.